high pitch.
Should have seen it out, shouldn't I?
You did. Alessio fell. He was charging away, honestly. He was running. I thought he was a lion and across the Serengeti plain there, chasing that ball. 56-34. It's 22 points of difference. Look at the puffing and panting of Anthony Alessio as he chased there. He's exhausted.
A lot of effort for very little reward, you must say. But at half-time, he's gone, Alessio.
Only 22 points. Yeah, they went all over the place, but they're handballing, you see, Coburg. They're trying to create the play, and it's often sending them backwards. Not much in it. 22 points. There's still a chance. I think we're going to see we're going to see a good third quarter, I reckon. Coburg, Bernie Dunn, the coach, has fiddled around with his players a little bit to get the maximum out of them. Ingham to the back line. Baldwin, you see, with 2 goals early. John Carroll been doing well. Then Davis and Jefferson Clark. Zeros been very good up forward. And Alessio, he's really had the points against Caples. Dale needs to lift a bit. Plenty in the game. A lot of mistakes being made. Springvale must win it to grab the double chance.
Hey, what about the afternoon tea? At lunch, we've got chocolate eclairs, party pies. The figure's going to go out the window. Never mind.
Yes, there's the Scorpions heading off now. Have a bit of a think. They know they're not out of this game yet. I mean, not out of the problems, that is.
And they lead by 22 points, Phil. A win for them today, and they're playing in the qualifying final next week. A loss, and it's into the elimination, and it's a lot harder to win a grand final from there. So Springvale lead by 22 points. Coburg not out of it, as Phil Cleary mentioned. We'll be back with the second half in about a quarter of an hour. But in the meantime, here's Beverly O'Connor.
Very much, Heath. Good on you. Let's go straight down to Ross Booth.
Yes, a little bit of a breeze at the left of the screen. But Justin O'Donoghue sitting just in front of me. He's hurt his ankle. And Brad Gottschalk asking for his Springvale players to really open up this quarter with lots of run.
Good on you, Ross. And it's 22 points the margin here at half-time. With Springvale in front, there you see the score, 8-8-56 to Coburg's 5-4-34. They're far from safe yet, Springvale, but well on their way to a qualifying final berth. Most of the scoring, though, have been done so far on the end left of screen. And Springvale going to attack first through Carroll, who gets it towards Capsalis in between the wing and half forward. Capsalis goes in short. It's up towards full forward. Evans had his name written all over that, and he took a pretty good mark. So Evans, who's been quiet so far today, he's kicked 2 behinds. His timing's been a little bit off with his marking attempt, and perhaps the forward line hasn't been open as much as he would have wanted. There are his stats. But geez, a terrific player at this level, Brett Evans, and surely one of their keys as they head into the defence of their premiership title. And in he comes from directly in front, and I think he's missed to the right. Yep. So 3 behinds today for Brett Evans, and he'll be far from happy with that return. 23 points the margin, and Serini, his direct opponent, goes for a bit of a gallop, then kicks it back in. Smith almost took the mark. Carroll, Damien Carroll, in towards full forward again. Evans over the top. Has he been paid it?
Gee, I don't know. Did he really? God, well,
he got over the shoulder of his opponent, surely, and then I don't know whether he had first touch of the footy.
Well, I'd have thought that it would have touched Weston's hands, and Serini, his opponent who was behind, wasn't too happy about it.
So when he comes, Brett Evans searching for his first goal. That's a bit closer. I don't think it's close enough. It isn't, so 4 behinds. And here's the replay of Evans.
Oh, well, I don't know. A bit hard to tell. Maybe the umpire was right.
A bit contentious, perhaps, but that's a free kick. Much to the displeasure of Bear Ingram. John Carroll will have to kick again.
Now, that's very interesting. The umpire there saying move it out. Now, umpire Nellis, I don't know why the Coburg player was running through the mark following a man. I'd have thought otherwise it would have been 50-metre penalty.
So here's Jeffs blazing away towards full forward. Evans is getting another one, is he?
Now, what happened there was that, yes, Porter was coming back for the mark, and the Coburg player, I'm not sure it was McLeod, came across him, Rob, and attempted to keep him out of the contest. I think that's what the umpires paid this for. Could be, you'll just see, but oh dear me, I don't know how you can pay that umpire. I don't know how you can pay it.
Play on, surely. Now look at the soft turf that Evans has got to run through here, and he's kicked his first despite the turf.
Well, look, you know, we don't want to be too critical of umpires. Well, if the decision's wrong, you've got to call it if you're a commentator. On that occasion, the opposition player on Evans is about to keep him out, and the umpire decides on a free kick. Well, I don't know about that. I reckon if you get them like that, they're pretty soft.
So Springvale have done all the attacking in the opening 3.5 minutes of this third quarter, and the lead now substantial, 5 goals the margin.
And here they go again through Carroll and Courtney. Evans couldn't quite grab it. Jason Smith hasn't been able to get into the game. No tackles, but puts it very wide. Merv Kane, the Williamstown coach, is interested onlooker. Obviously wanting more for the Lions. Big leap by Solomon. Into the middle. Over the head of Tate, knocked away by Taylor. Kick to half forward, there's a spoil by Solomon. 30 points now, the lead to the Scorpions.
There's the Coburg crew there. Brad Nimmo, dual premiership player. Rob Evans, just a couple up from him. Mel Webster, the president, alongside Brad.
So Porter won that with the volleyball spike, but gained about 15 metres for his side. Coburg needs to kick 2 or 3 now in succession. And gee, the umpires are certainly getting involved in the action in this third quarter. Another free kick. If they're there, I suppose he's got to pay them. Off to Ingram, who kicks long. Alessio stays down. It fell to O'Donnell, who went backwards towards Scott Sutherland, who pirouetted nicely and heads out wide towards Jeffs. And Springvale looking in complete control in this stage of the match. Here's Smith.
He's been moved up the field, Smith.
Oh, the smother on the kick. Napoli goes off the ground. Kane Taylor will get the free kick. Advantage should be paid as Napoli gives the umpire one of the great serves. Must be very thick-skinned people, umpires, because they receive a lot of attention that in ordinary life you wouldn't take too kindly, I wouldn't think.
No, they'd say that they are different, Rob, umpires.
And
do you agree, Ross Booth?
And they're to be congratulated for that.
You won't get Ross Booth to even talk about umpires. It is sacrosanct.
No, just a waste
Sacred
of time.
territory, isn't it? Just a waste of time. Ah, dear.
I wasn't having a go at the umpire.
No, you were saying that their job is difficult, that they do get a lot of criticism along the way, and very thick skin.
Very touchy about it, Ross.
No.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what he's got a deal going with umpires. I don't know what it is.
No, easy to criticise, hard to do. Forward by Courtney. Lildos. Evans. Didn't hold it. On the left foot, going to his second of the quarter. Lildos lets it bounce through. And Brett Evans has kicked 2-2 in the term in 7 minutes.
Yes. And you see the game turn around. I tell you what, Ross, you talk about decisions, but the decision to Evans early in the quarter that gives you a good start, gives Evans the confidence and a goal, and then he bobs up with a second. If you're really fierce about your game, you're going to be saying, well, really, umpire, you know, there's a question there. Now he's away, and Serini has to take it back, take the ascendancy back off him, and Coburg in trouble.
6 goals the margin now. 20 scoring shots to 9. Napoli charges through the pack there.
Well, that's stupid play, Ross. Honestly, you tackle the player, put your own body at risk. There's Ross Napoli.
All steamed up, Ross Napoli, having plenty to say, but...
Thought Phil was having out me.
Yeah, well, that wouldn't be the first time. John Carroll in towards full forward, dropping back here and taking a good mark is Solomon.
Played a bad game, Solomon. Been pretty handy. Trouble.
McLeod. Back to Solomon, loping out of defence, Coburg. Good kick towards Adam Baker, one of their key players who needs a bit of a lift, and that won't do his confidence much good at all. He picks out Simon Clark. who heads towards half forward. 2 on 1 here. Great tackle there from McLeod. He did well. Can Baker do better with his kick? He can, but he didn't beat the boundary line. And we'll have a throw-in. With the boundary umpire now with a bit of work to do. Let's see how the marking skills. Oh, they're pretty good. And back he travels to where Baker was out of bounds.
Phil, that turnover from Baker, could you work out what happened?
I tried to just kick to a pass up the corridor from one of the Coburg players. I think it was probably Alessio, and they dropped it short. Yeah, bad, Ross.
Porter,
not good enough.
Down to Stanley.
See, with some of the Coburg players turning the ball over, they've really got to think their game out. It's as simple as that. They have to go back and practice it and work out, sit down and think about how the game's played. They go back a bit too often with their handballs.
Hit-out's about even between these two. Clark the first run, Porter the second, John Carroll to Clark. Vocal at half-time, extolling his teammates to do more. Evans, good battle. Serini got the hand pass away.
I think Evans is going to trouble Serini when he plays at the square, Ross. I reckon he's more dangerous down there for Serini because more of the contests will be in the air. That's where McLeod might be a better prospect, but we'll see.
Here's Ken Ingram. He's just about been their best again, but gee, their disposal's been ordinary today. And here's Graham Yates. Kicks it in towards full forward, and Porter drops back there and takes an easy mark. First quarter was just a terrific example of VFL footy, and since then the skills strangely have gone out the window on occasions. Back in the centre of the ground now, and little short kick. It wasn't little, it was O'Donnell rather. Found Yates. Yates out wide. Here's Davison. Davison in towards the pocket, and Serini and Evans. Serini's going to be penalised there, and Evans will have a chance to kick his third.
Well, we'd have to see this again. If I saw what I think I saw, then the umpire has got me bamboozled. That is not a free kick in modern football. Pushing to the body in a contest has not been outlawed for a long time, Roscoe, as I understand it, and that to me is a very peculiar free kick.
Well, they might have to make a move of Serini on Evans, because this is his 5th shot at goal in this third quarter, Evans, and he's kicked his third. Fortunately for Coburg, he's kicked 3 goals, 2 with them.
Well, 2 of them have probably come with what I reckon, bad decisions, and you just can't afford. The umpiring has got to be up to scratch. You've got to understand the rule. If this is the rule that you cannot push in a contest to the chest, then there'd be a lot of... There we see it. Look, it's a push to the chest. Now, look at it. He doesn't even think it's a free kick against him, Evans, does he? You can see that he doesn't even expect the free kick, and he gets it paid.
Well, Porter out of the middle with a big fist. Yates, Carroll, they work together so well in midfield, the Scorpions. Clean possession to Jeffs, and a lovely pass to Baldwin. Outside 50, another pass to Evans. Serini right with him. Smith over the ball. Serini throws himself in. Damien Carroll, an up and under. Solomon's there, he's got the height. A lot of height, and he took the mark easily.
Playing well, Solomon. Been very good for them.
Just reached over, didn't he? Here's Cleve. Kick needs to be good. It's not. He's given it to Damien Carroll. Oh, great intercept on that occasion. The big fella Porter. Hand pass is good. 2 big fellows combined. Solomon out to Stanley. His first touch of the second half, and Ingram's got it now in the centre. Racing through the middle of the ground. Ingram goes to Dale. Oh, good lead. Gee, he was quick off the first couple of metres there.
Beautiful. Beautiful delivery by Ingram. His 23rd possession, Paul Field tells me, and I tell you what, he's used just about every one of them spot on too. He's a great, very creative player. Hand and foot. Dale must kick the goal under immense pressure, Coburg, just at this point in time.
So if to have any chance at all, you'd expect him to do something with this, and he's kicked it out of bounds and on the full. So Chris Dale hasn't had the kicking shoes on today at all. He's had 4 shots at goal, and he's only a return of 1 goal, 1 with them.
Yes, well, they're wasted opportunities, basically. You work your backside off to get the ball down, and the person wastes it. I often used to think, well, what's the point of getting it to you? Then the players start to lose a little bit of confidence in you, and they sometimes don't get it to you as often.
bounce. Brett Evans kicked the last 6 scores in the match, a point behind, 1 point before half-time, and then 3-2 in this quarter. That's a little bit of trivia.
They've made the switch to have pushed the swapped the players over in the back half. McLeod and Serini on Baldwin and Evans.
Kick just found Baker. He used his pace, looking for Zeros. No attempt to mark by Little. The fist was there.
Just not quite on their forward line. Either Coburg players get under the ball when it's punched away, Ross, a lot. They tend to be in too close. The ball comes down and they've overrun it. They don't sort of come down in an arc.
Haven't had much practice this quarter, Phil. It's been mostly in the other half.
Yeah, I'd noticed a couple of times, though, in the other second quarter, there were opportunities, even on that occasion. There's the Blues brothers.
Yeah, the big save Tankard for man of the match to be presented after the game. Aubrey, Bergman, dragging it back under was Capsalis, and Benjamin leaps over the top of the two of them.
Looks like a giant bunker over there, doesn't it? All that sand.
I would have thought it was a free to Aubrey here, but the umpire, I'll give up worrying about decisions. Aubrey rubbing his head.
Look at all that sand there, Phil.
It's a lot of it. A lot of sand. It's all happening here. The Blues brothers are in attendance. Cameron Aubrey's got a whack on the head. No free kick. Was in a couple up the other end. And Ross Booth says, just let it go through to the...
Yeah, no, but I will comment on the first mark where Evans sort of got into his back. I was just walking around there, and in the attempt to mark, he did infringe, but then came down with a mark. But from where I was, 10 metres away, it looked okay.
Which the mark?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I think afterwards, I think looking at it again, that mark to Evans was all right, but it was the free kick.
Yeah.
2 free kicks, wasn't it, that resulted in goals?
It's a delayed complaint about the mark, and it was about...
Quite a while back,
10 minutes ago. 11:10:76 to 5:35. Bit of a stalemate in progress of the game, and that's a beautiful kick from Capsalis to Lilnors, who excited us in the second quarter with one of the great marks of 1996 in the VFL. Terrific it was. And here's Yates, who kicks in towards the centre of the ground. Little off hands. Lilnors followed up his kick and uses his strength there to get rid of an opponent. Napoli trying to intercept. O'Donnell, this looks very dangerous. Racing into an opening goal is Courtney. What's the kick like? It's just offline.
Now the floodgates appear to be opening here at Springvale in the third quarter. That lead gone out to 7 goals. Who'd have thought that?
Baldwin was in front, got the tackle. Aubrey broke clear. And... well, someone's not happy. Still in play. Little got the hand on the ball. Zeros went for the kick off the ground. And Sutherland slips and kicks it out on the full.
Well, Cameron Aubrey, who's got the ball now, has really got to try to kick on his right foot. Using the right foot, of course, now. But good play, Little. Good play.
It's been a good duel, that. Zeros won the points in the first quarter, and since then, probably Little's got on top. Here's O'Donnell. And, their handball's terrific at the moment. Capsalis, a couple there from him. Inboard towards Sutherland. Wheels around in the muddy centre looking for support. It arrives through Bergman. Jeff's good kick towards Baldwin. Numbers went out there. Napoli off to the running. Weston in space. Weston links up here with Adam Baker. And Baker bombs it long. Zeros will fly from behind. Might bounce through for a goal. No, it's been forced through by Little.
It's a good little contest, that one, Little versus Zeros. You can see Zeros then on screen really wanting to get a piece of the action, but Little was able to get it away through the points.
He ran under that, Phil. It was by Zeros. Thought it was bad play. Had to sit.
Yes, I don't know why he didn't jump. It initially looked like he was really going to go for it, and then bang, he was out of it.
Sutherland to Bergman. That's easy from here, though. Damien Carroll. Looking for Davison with Tate. Tate right there. Harris's Davison over the line. Courtney's an improving player, Phil, isn't he? Skills.
Oh, my word, he is. My word, he's very dangerous.
Coming across from Oakley. Porter down to Stanley. Napoli. Good handball. Ingram back to Napoli. Short and wide, but okay to Tora. Back to Napoli. Certainly running hard as Merv Kane wanted him to do. Contest by Dale. Left for Baker on his left foot. Should goal from there, and does.
Sorry, you got me.
Oh, Merv Kane's here trying to get Coburg up so they keep the third spot. Williamstown coach.
Well, that was a good piece of play by Coburg. We've sorted that out for the viewers. They're all sitting around scratching their respective heads wondering what Ross Burton was on at the three-quarter time break. Nothing much we can tell you. He's just a very obscure sort of bloke. And the ball comes back, and Dale then gets it away, and back she comes. Adam Baker, dash. Good player, Adam Baker. Good goal. Gee, they're slipped out of the game, though, the Lions. They've got to really push hard now. Give us a contest.
35 points the difference, midway through the third. Carroll now for Springvale up towards full forward, but Solomon has done a pretty good job back there. Takes the mark, and Serini doesn't like something.
He thought it was after the... Should have been a 50-metre, I think he was saying.
Cleave in towards the centre of the ground. Baker, as he swapped wings, he may have, but Yates took the mark off him. Short kick, not real great, but such is their strength in numbers that they easily work it towards John Carroll. Kick towards full forward, McLeod.
This kid, I think, has got a lot of ability. They go places.
Certainly a young man of the times with the ponytail. And Stanley, lovely kick to Ken Ingram. If they get the next one, who knows? Ingram in towards Zeros. Oh, he should have snavelled that. And just a real lapse of concentration, and he knows it. But unfortunately, the moment's lost.
Yes. Begging. An opportunity begging. Ingram on the run. He might have gone through on the inside and got a handball back.
A shake of the head from Ground Zeros. 2-1. He goes for the ruck contest. Did well to get the front. Benjamin to Ingram. Oh, he's hooked it a lot. Umpire lucky not to do a hamstring. Moving
yes,
that quickly.
They get a bit of speed up the goalies these days. They like to get to the middle of the square, so they get on the camera, full view.
Lil Law's short to Damien Carroll.
They'll start calling that goal umpire twang.
The boundary umpires are practicing throw-ins before the match and congratulating each other on good throw, good practice. They take it very seriously. John Carroll pushes forward. Jeff's good support running through the middle, and good shepherding by Courtney. Oh,
good mark. And I tell you what, Serene, I know what you're up to there. You want to be a little careful. The 50-metre, just egging his man on.
The kick was right.
Beautiful kick, Ross. On the left boot from Jeffs.
Yep. Ball and underneath it, got close to the man on the mark. Where's Evans? Well, Solomon was there first. Davison at the full, weaves his way through, wobbles it towards the goal, and puts it through for Springvale's 12th. Yes, it was a bit like a Phil Cleary torpedo, that one.
It had a little bit of that in. Beautifully placed, keeping the goal umpire guessing. Will it swerve back and take my head off?
Very difficult kick to perfect.
Well, I only kicked them like that because of my love of umpires, you see, Rob.
But, yeah.
And you see it here. Really, gee, goes through the pack nicely, yes, and he just flat punts it.
Onto the right foot, yes. No left foot.
Yeah. The reverse torpedo, something very difficult.
Well, it wasn't too difficult for me to master, I can tell you.
You had no choice in the matter, though, Phil. Back in the centre, and Springvale doing it on the bit at the moment, and don't they look impressive? And if you were Frankston, you'd be a bit concerned about this late surge from the reigning Premier, who looked pretty good to me.
Yes, they're looking neat. The pressure's not quite the same as they'd expect from a Frankston or a Werribee, Williamstown and the like.
Werribee having their problems late in the year, and Williamstown, of course, would be urging on Coburg, but they're not doing the job for them so far today. And gee, that was a poor hand pass from Fitzpatrick out towards Napoli, and really perhaps epitomises the difference between the two sides in many respects.
Certainly does.
So 7 goals the margin now, with Springvale working their way towards a qualifying final berth, and won't they be dangerous from there? Lil Nors to Capsalis. High kick. Advantage will be paid here as Dylan got the free kick. John Carroll, who's had the ball on a string today, finds Courtney. 34 possessions for Carroll. Yates, short kicks of beauty, and Baldwin's working his way back into some form.
Sure is.
And Sereni's been taken off Evans and onto Baldwin. And not exactly having a terrific third quarter as poor old Sereni. A bit stiff with some umpiring decisions.
But some of those passes are so lethal. The midfield of Coburg's a real problem, just not putting enough pressure on.
So Peter Baldwin again gets very close to the man on the mark. High kick, won't have the distance. Oh, that's a great mark to Zeros, who's back there in defence now.
Oh, Benjamin fumbles it. Oh, legged he was by O'Donnell.
Deliberately or accidentally?
Well, I thought accidentally.
If it was deliberate, which I think it was, it should be 50 metres.
Weston, nor was he held up by O'Donnell. He got away. And awkward-looking kick straight to Little.
This back line's going to be good in the final. It's going to be hard to break. Second lowest amount of goals kicked against it.
Kane Taylor. O'Donnell, quick hands, but a bit too quick. Miss Sutherland. Doing it a little bit too easily. Turning it over to Solomon.
Been good today, Solomon.
The ball's been called back.
Yeah, just on the lowest. Frankston, the side with the lowest number of points kicked against them. Springvale coming in second, and I think they were pretty good last year too in terms of points against. But I think that augurs well for them when it comes to finals. Very good, very important to have a backline that can close other sides down. There's no doubt about the Springvale backline. They can match up very well. Clark off on the blood rule, I think. Was it the blood rule? Yes. Looking over at the other side of the ground, Clark's come off.
There's Solomon from Seymour with the ball. Long kick. Looking for Porter. Follow up pretty well to lay the tackle, the big fellow. Yes, Paul, was it Graham Yates had 25 possessions so far. It's one of his best games, I'd suggest, for the Scorpions this year. Loose to Aubrey.
Oh, that left foot, honestly. Why does he keep kicking left foot? Even then he didn't have to. I really don't like players doing that. You should, if you can get on your right foot, you use it.
Well, John Carroll's got to win the Best of Field Awards, surely. 35 possessions, and we're 25 minutes into the third quarter.
Meters, yes, the umpire there spotting that. Tim Courtney going through the mark, but not chasing an opposition player. If you chase an opposition player through the mark, it is legitimate, but if the opposition player is not running through the mark, then it becomes a 50-metre penalty. That's what happened on that occasion.
And here's Clark going off with the blood rule. So he's got a mouse over the right eye.
We get a stitch there.
Not many players could reach that high, so interesting to see how that occurred. And Ingram kicks a very important goal for Coburg. And he's been terrific today in game number 150.
Yes, he certainly has been, Rob. He's pushing them on, stirring them up, gone into the middle of the ground himself, playing on the ball. As he was used in the first quarter by Coach Bernie Dunn. He went into defence in the second quarter and was very effective there. Just a lot of turnovers though by Coburg. That's really been one of the key differences between the two sides, Ross.
Here's Phil, and there's Ingram on the far side of the square on the right, and Porter coming into ruck against Chris Dillon with Clark off the ground. Bounce wasn't that good. Zeros. Porter unloaded. Ingram, little give to Baker. Stanley, short in close. Aubrey still on the left foot. Will he find a man? Oh, up goes Cleve. At the fault, Tatora. Off the knee or off the boot? Off the knee.
Over the line.
Above the knee. So.
Well, the umpire called it that. I think he got his foot to it, but I would have thought he was over the line. Bernie Dunn there trying to find a solution.
Pity it wasn't a goal. The margin would have been under 5 goals, and maybe we may have had a contest in the final quarter, which can't be too far away because we're now 28 minutes into this third quarter. And that's a pretty ordinary kick. They might get another chance, Coburg. Fitzpatrick, they couldn't find the footy. Delarue snatched it up. Off to Kane Taylor. Hugs the boundary line with a kick. Ingram should win this one. Quick hands are required there. No. Decides to go for the kick towards Napoli. He had the quick hands towards Stanley. Will put his teammate under pressure there. He'll get a free kick surely. And it's
lucky. Lucky though, and just lack of thought in those handballs again.
It was just a tad obvious, wasn't it?
Oh, yes.
Here's Baker. He'll go out wide to Napoli. 48 out and closing. Can he kick a big goal? Ball will still be in. Perhaps a chance here to Tora. Off to Benjamin. This will be something special if he kicks this. He couldn't. Plenty of advice there from the boundary umpire. 12-11-83, 33 points the margin, so not impossible for Coburg, but certainly very, very difficult.
O'Donnell again, he runs, feeds off the handball. It's becoming monotonous to Jeffs through the midfield. Had a lot of the ball. Good delivery to Damien Carroll. Delarue running from defence. Involved again, John Carroll. Back to Jeffs. No Coburg player near it. Jeffs heads up towards goal, and it's led through, is it? No. Baldwin attempted to get a hand on it, and Sereni will clear for the Lions.
Well, that was amazing. Not a Coburg player was within cooey of the ball in that passage, and they were a bit lucky not to concede a goal. Meanwhile, Napoli heads to centre-half forward, but again, the disposal without any pressure, pretty ordinary. It's been a disease that's been contagious from the Coburg boys today, unfortunately.
Napoli had a mile in front of him, though, and then he kicks to a small player. Like,
somehow, if I repeat myself, if they can just manufacture something before three-quarter time, the margin's under 3 goals, and
it's a 50
well,
metre here.
There you
That's
go.
Right. I mean, when you look at it, they look so good early. They slipped out of the game a little bit, and then in this early in the third quarter, and dare I say it, with a couple of very suspicious, controversial, debatable umpiring decisions.
Well,
I'm only kidding.
Oh, yes, right, Phil, only kidding. So here's Fitzpatrick. Must kick this, and he has. So a couple of 50-metre penalties have been handy. They won't please Brad Gotch, and, well, not all of a sudden, but we've got just a hint of a game heading into the final quarter.
Yeah, we certainly have, and of course we must remember, Rob, that with Simon Clark off the ground, that means that Porter will be going in against Chris Dillon. So that gives them another little bit of advantage, Coburg. Gee, there wasn't much.
He fell over.
Honestly, did I say there were some strange decisions?
Yes, suspicious.
Yes,
I think you used the word.
Suspicious. It's a tense.
I didn't want to be cliched.
No, but you certainly weren't. I think, yes.
You think there might be a defamation in the mail?
Oh, we better start talking about going right down to the wire again, I think, Phil.
Over 31 minutes in the third quarter, and it's 27 points.
Yes, that centre bounce.
To
What a chance.
Patrick.
Ingram, go for home.
He gives it to Napoli. Will he kick a goal this time? Oh, he throws it on the boot and...
Whoa!
Put it
Tell you
through.
what? They're alive.
21 points now, the margin.
They are alive. And Rob, I called it, didn't I? That centre bounce situation with Simon Clark off the ground. I mean, they want to look at him, certainly. They want him right for the finals, but I think if he's probably got to have stitches, I would think. But here, Ingram sets up. Now, this is a smart player, an experienced player. Napoli on the run, takes it on the stride, not going away from the ball, swings it back. Boy, this is a bit dangerous for Springvale. And the centre of the ground is where it's happening. Have a look at this one. Bad bounce.
And Porter still wins it. 4 goals each in this third quarter. And Springvale coasted in the last 3 or 4 minutes, and they've conceded 3 goals. They go forward again. Evans, the high leaper, he's kicked 3 himself in this third quarter. This will be handy. Dillon, charging into an open goal, has kicked a very important one for Springvale. Gee, past 32 minutes, good kick from Springvale, and didn't they set it up superbly running through the centre?
Yes, they did. And you notice Dillon there on the left side, but Rob, he makes sure he gets onto his right foot and he finishes it off with a right foot kick. I made that point about a couple of players, Coburg players there, kicking on the left. Aubrey in particular, nice handball. Look at Dylan, he's on the left. Now he straightens. That's what you've got to do. Yes, we're just told that Clark is being stitched up. Cut above the eyebrow. He's not that he hasn't had his strides torn.
Not metaphorically stitched up.
Well, no, literally, isn't it? Oh, they are sutured up.
Yes. John Carroll to Yates. And beautiful spring weather. Oh, McLeod. Yeah, almost a mark. Oh, he got a high one there as Davison came in trying to get the ball out of the pack.
Oh, damn.
Tate a bit upset.
It's against Evans there for being just a tad naughty.
Extraordinary length in this quarter, 33.5 minutes. It might have something to do with the fact that when the ball is kicked to the end left of screen through for a goal, it takes about 5 minutes for it to get back into the centre of the ground. Well, what an entertaining third quarter that turned out to be. We thought Springvale were home and hosed when they led by over 7 goals, but the margin is 27 points, still pretty comfortable for them, but not what they would have liked after they had the game completely in their keeping.
No, and we saw that little bit of a turnaround when Simon Clark, their key man, their ruckman, went off the ground to have a little cut above the eye, stitched. Coburg with Porter winning in the centre bounce and being quite commanding around the ground. Ingram firing the ball to the forward line, powered through with a few goals, only stopped by Dylan just before three-quarter time. And there you see the score, 5 to Springvale, 4 to Coburg, who in the first quarter looked superb and just had the game taken away from them in the second. I think we're in for a good last quarter, though. Coburg got a smell of victory there, of a possibility. Alessio went out of the game, he's kicked 2. Evans came into the game, he's kicked 3, all in that quarter. And we'll be back with you very soon, Rob.
Okay, here's Beverly O'Connor. Thanks, Beverly. Yes, we hope so. Springvale protecting a 27-point lead. And let's now go into their huddle at three-quarter time with Brad Gotch.
Where's the thing? Where's this board? Quick. Okay, let's have a look here. Clarkie, you're back on, you right, Clarkie?
Hi, Clarkie.
No problems? Okay, big last quarter from you. You really fire. Dillo to centre half forward.
Come on, Dillo.
Caps come up for a rest. Benny, onto the half forward flank. Brack roving with DC. Christian, changing with TC. All right?
1 minute.
And Smithy and Caps on the bench.
Come on, guys.
Right, let's just come on. Okay, it's up to us from here. Is the intensity there?
Yeah.
You feeling good? Come on. We've got a big last quarter. Are we going to go right on with this game?
Come on.
Are we going to make sure that we work? We've got next week to think about as well, haven't we?
Come on.
We should have done with a bit of confidence.
Come on.
Enjoy it. We're really good at our work rate. Come on. What was our goal?
Yeah, that's
What was
right.
our goal? We set ourselves. It's in our class, isn't it? Third position's there for you as well. What about finishing off the last game of the year on our home ground with a big win? We go off singing that song. We're going to really rip into it. Let's make sure that we zone up properly and make sure that we get the most out of that ball back into the forward line. Forwards work hard to keep it in there. Back line are going to be really tight. Let's anticipate that it might drop a little bit shorter, so be in front, ready to run the ball out. Okay, let's make commitment. Come on, boys. Time, boys. We're going to make sure. Look at each other. We're going to make
Well, there's Brad Gotch really getting into the troops at three-quarter time.
It's like an evangelical experience in a coach's huddle at times, isn't it? We make commitments and we hear the lines that we're used to. It's great stuff, really.
TC changing with Christian.
Oh, yes, it's just beautiful. It is. There was that goal. Evans got them away in the... You see that umpire? No, I'm sorry. I just have to say I can't see that as a free kick. And if it is, there are a lot of free kicks going around in the AFL that are not paid. That little push in the chest when the ball's in close. Anyway, off we go. Ingram, Poolfield tells me, and I think you probably noticed through the human eye without actually having the calculator in your hand, that Coburg are handballing quite substantially. In fact, they've had more handballs than Springvale. Sure, a lot of them haven't hit the mark, but the more that they run the ball on, the more opportunities they will have, especially to get around that fella Simon Clark, who was off for about 10 minutes at the end of the quarter, which gave Coburg a chance to get back into the game. Baldwin came into the game in that third quarter. Sereni was moved onto him. Sereni had been having problems with Evans. And see, a couple of these goals, if you're a Coburg coach, you'd be a little disappointed with that some of them had come a bit too easily. Yeah, and that was, well, look, I don't know that was a 50. I think the flick in the face, but I didn't seem like there was any intention in that. So anyway, we'll let that go through to the keeper. And Ingram here, lovely handball out to Napoli. On the run, you see, doesn't have to stop. He really belts the ball.
We'll have a look at the stats now.
Yeah,
and look at it, the kick's completely dominated by Springvale, and Coburg have had more hand passes. The interesting one to me, only 22 free kicks.
Yes,
I would have
not a
thought
lot.
there would have been about 80, but never mind. Let's now go down to Ross Booth.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, bit of a breeze with Springvale. We'll have Serini and McLeod. McLeod on Evans, Serini on Baldwin. Clark's back on the ground, as you saw. And Bernard Dunn said to Coburg, look, remember that Werribee game when we were down? We are a chance to win this. And I felt the Coburg boys were pretty flat, but a few of them had a look around the scoreboard. Maybe they think they're a chance, but they've got that big task into the breeze.
Thanks a lot, Ross. 27 points the margin that they have to make up. And Springvale, of course, playing for a position in next week's qualifying final. And Coburg really well to end their season on a high note. They won't compete in the finals, and to send Ken Ingram off in his 150th celebration in positive fashion. Clark, who had a time off the ground, won that tap, and here's Jeff, 52 out. What can he do, Jeff's? Not
But
much.
you saw there, yes, Clark, as soon as he's back on, Rob, you know, the ball starts running Springvale's way. He's just such a good player.
Zeros back in defence now, up towards
There he
Ingram and Simon Clark.
Just tells the story, doesn't it? Just tells the story. Comes back on, big knockout, strong mark. Gee, they'd miss him naturally if he wasn't playing in the finals, but you'd say that about any good player.
So Simon Clark bombs it in towards full forward. Evans, who was very dangerous in the third. Might have been a throw.
Had to be a throw.
And Weston's brought that back underneath. So Coburg need the first couple to be any hope. And that game against Werribee was a terrific one earlier in the year. They were gone and buried really throughout the afternoon after putting up a very valiant performance, and then all of a sudden they snatched it in the last 5 minutes. Quite remarkable. So interesting that Bernie Dunn would mention that. Weston off to Ingram, who's been outstanding today. And there's Clark again. He's just one of the premier players in the league. Off to Damien Carroll. Short little kick in towards half forward. Falls towards Evans, who was caught high, I think. And look at the options he had then. And is this Courtney?
No. Delarue.
That's Delarue, rather.
Haven't seen a lot of him today.
No, he came off the bench, I think, and
2 possessions. That's why we haven't seen a lot of him.
well, it's
They weren't long possessions. They were fleeting possessions.
48 metres out. Big kick this. If he kicks a goal, they're certainly home and hosed, you would imagine. He didn't.
See Serini doing the kicking out too. McLeod got shifted sideways. We said earlier he wasn't really giving the ball any kind of precision in the kicking.
Well, he'd want to kick it soon. He ran an awful long way and then kicked it out on the full. So interesting. Now, Graham Yates has been in very good form. Over 25 possessions, and short distance kicks pretty good to Lilnors with the Billy Idol-like haircut.
Gee, didn't he take a big mark early in the game? First quarter, it was sensational.
So Lilnors in towards full forward, at the Mark Porter in the way. So Springvale threatening here, but not getting much activity on the scoreboard. Porter goes short, dangerously to Ingram, who wants to have pass and then goes short to Tate. They've still got it, I suppose. Didn't gain much. Now Tate transfers it back to Ingram. Somehow they've worked it up towards the wing, and Benjamin's taken it.
It was really a set play, wasn't it? Ingram trying to get it moving.
Napoli looking for the free kick here. He needs a shepherd. Oh, well done, Ross Napoli. Goes
Kick a goal, Ross. Kick a goal.
Through.
What a goal.
Well, he's kicked their last 2, and they've both been absolute beauties.
Well, you know, Rob, so often he threats to split the game, doesn't he, at times? He gets through backs and and then he'll let a wayward handball go. This is just brilliant play. He handballs to himself initially. It's no free kick, it's play on. Then he gets around the player, and when he bangs it for home, that is just mega football from Ross Napoli, and he has given the Lions a chance.
So Ingram, gee, they get the next one, it'll be interesting. De La Rue having his problems, but works it forward about 40 metres. Oh, Solomon's flattened and he's hurt. There he is in the background there. Beautiful pick up from Weston. He's got plenty of strength too. Can link up over the top. Here's Aubrey. Oh, this looks promising now for Coburg. They need to mark the Lions, and it was a poor kick. Poor old Dale must be wondering what he's got to do. And there's Solomon with his problems.
Need some wisdom. John Carroll. Dylan, Lil Norris goes to the pass. Oh, Baldwin with his man Serini. 2-on-1 McLeod. Underneath it, Lil Norris. And coming in with a big spoil was Mark Porter. 5 minutes into the final term.
You see Cameron Aubrey there with a beautiful opportunity to give Coburg the move, and that turnover, a bad kick over the top, should have gone long. Used the right foot that time, but still didn't get it right.
Maybe something wrong with it. Injured.
Could be. See Johnny Solomon here, he got caught right in the action. I think you'll see that a nice hip and shoulder for a player who actually couldn't see the other player coming, of course.
Could have been a bit worse, couldn't it, if Evans really decided to fix him up. Nothing
was lifted.
Gee, Coburg, they get the next one. They're a real chance, and Taranto could get possession here. Offloads to Tura, back to Taranto. It's a couple of tongue twisters, hand pass over the top. Tatura gets it back. Oh, Benjamin. Tatura again. Napoli.
Oh, here's a chance.
And here's Solomon, back from the dead. Someone else get that, and he's kicked a goal. No.
Oh, dear me. I thought you were almost going to come up with Tartufo there, Rob. You just about got the full book.
Well, if they'd have performed Tongan for chewing a tartar, the ex-Collingwood player would be
played at Coburg, yes. Back in 1981.
Oh, Damien Carroll's off, gives it to his brother John. Back to Damien. Turnover. Weston coming through like a train.
Again.
Benjamin to Ingram. Which way? Getting away from De La Rue. Oh, good effort to get onto his boot. Taranto's loose. Long to Dale, but it's over his head.
Well, I don't want to be cruel, but I just wouldn't kick the ball to Bergman and Dale, honestly. It's just something would have to give there. He just is not giving him a contest, Chrissy Dale.
Yeah, he was on a lead and the kick was bad, Phil.
Yeah, it was, but he's just not going at it like he wants it, Roscoe.
Okay, Evans. De La Rue.
Oh, Russell Davidson. He's seen a bit of the action today.
Evans shaping that he's going for home. 20 points the margin. 21 points, in fact, the difference. So Coburg making a late run here at Springvale, who have stopped a bit, perhaps a bit complacent. Evans might just right the ship here with a big booming kick. It is a huge kick. He's kicked at about 65 metres, and he's kicked it to the left of the goal. So he's a chance from just about anywhere in the forward line, isn't he, Evans, when he gets it, because he's such a long kick.
I've got 3-5 next to Brett Evans' name.
So have I, Ross.
So has Paul. Now,
must be right then.
Serini kicks in.
Oh, that's remarkable.
Clark with the big leap. There was just a lag there for a moment. Benjamin, now Napoli, using the pace. Through half, back to centre wing. Oh, little chip kick, sets Little up. Goes for the punch. Down to Taranto. Any pace in those legs? No, Little got him. Taylor dragged to the ground. But a bit of fight on that Coburg forward line with some good tackles from that youngster to Tora.
Prior opportunity there, Roscoe?
Very limited. Good decision.
It was.
Priorish.
Yeah, it's just a fraction in it. Yeah.
Springvale work it out of defence. Oh, good mark. That's Dylan.
One of the cue is taken too. An important one at that.
Kicked a big goal for them in the third quarter late. Here's De La Rue with the bandy barely hanging on there. Big long kick. That's a great kick. Just what the doctor ordered for Springvale.
What was Serini doing there? He looked like he was shepherding off the goal, didn't he? Evans, though, using the nous. I'm pretty sure it was Evans there in the goal square. And De La Rue, very important goal indeed. He's on screen there. Coburg making a rush, having a couple of opportunities. Just needed that one more goal to really put the pressure on. But it wasn't forthcoming. Ball back. Goal to Springvale. Makes it hard. Coburg's still in it, but it'd be a big ask here. 4 goals and 4.5 goals.
Yes, 28 points in fact, 10 minutes in. Even contest in the middle. De La Rue with strapping coming from his hand. Boots it towards the square, towards Evans. In comes Serini, using his physical strength. McLeod dives on it. They've got big task minding Baldwin and Evans respectively.
Sure have. An umpire is Shane Mason again.
No, it's Russell
Mason.
Davidson.
Sorry, Russell Davidson again.
Got
A bit difficult, 25-26.
Make sure you criticise the right way.
It's a collective action now, I think.
We call it a class action.
That's right, the class action, or lack of class action.
No enterprise bargaining in this system. It's just one in, all in, I think.
Yeah, one besmirches the other. It's very simple. If one of them's bad, they're all bad.
Phil and Rob, just leave me out, okay? Up goes Serini at the back. The Lions are defending. McLeod coming through Evans, got his foot to the ball. Tate with a spoil. Lots of defenders there. Serini. Napoli didn't take possession. Davidson, was he out? Yes.
There is an upside to that, though, of course, if, one makes a good decision.
They're all good.
They're all good.
It's very simple.
Yeah, it's very unfair for
Not
them.
much chance
Poor
of
old
that,
Ben,
though.
poor old Ben, he might, well, not with you around. Here's Weston, and Coburg need one very quickly again. They're certainly trying their hearts out. Aubrey gets it back. Good running out of defence this. Weston kept going as well. That's great play. Ingram, lovely hand pass towards Baker. He stopped and propped. Still a go though. Solomon's come up from the back pocket. Let's see if he can kick a goal now. He had a go moments ago and couldn't do it. Inboard to Benjamin. They've carried it the whole length of the ground. Dale on the left. Goal!
Unbelievable.
What fantastic play. There's about one kick involved there. The rest of it was handballs. They took it from the back pocket, and Dale has kicked the goal, and some justice there because you've given him the greatest serve of all time about 2 minutes ago.
Well, yes, he did throw it on the boot well. One of the problems with Chrissy Dale, though, is that he doesn't always position himself properly. But Solomon here, after moving from the back line, the Coburg side, and Ingram, superb.
Do you think
set up.
Dale's a bit risk-averse with this shot, Phil?
Oh, I know. God, he threw it on that left boot.
Like he put it through. 22 points the difference. There's the clock. And the Lions won't give in, but they're into that little breeze. Porter, even contest with Clark in the middle. John Carroll out of the centre square again, up towards 40 possessions. Leolaw's quick. Jeffs. Good tackle. Serini certainly goes at it hard. Stanley. A hand pass more in hope than anything else. Weston side-sipping around tackles. Took a while to get rid of it and will be penalised.
Chance the arm once, got away with it. Was tempting fate a bit too often. So kicking towards centre half forward, and Evans in space. Big job from McLeod. Not beyond him though, McLeod. There's certainly signs here for next year, Coburg. It's a long way away, the 97 footy season, but they've certainly made gains this year, and similar improvement could have them certainly in the finals next year with a couple of key players back. Evans on the lead, it'll be chopped off, and Cleve mops it up, and there's hope again for Coburg. Good distance with the kick. There's it's about 5-on-1 here, and numbers went out. Best player of field, John Carroll, in towards full forward with possession about number 42. Baldwin didn't go at the footy, and they've lost it. Stanley going backwards but transferring play, and here's Zeros now. A couple of these moves from Dunn of work. Zeros back to defence has been okay. Napoli has given them a real spark, and he tries to set up again. Gee, their hand passing has been very creative in this final quarter. Cleve leaves it for Alessio, who's going up and down on the one spot. Bergman has been a terrific defender all day, and here's Leelnors, and look at the space he's got.
He just couldn't bend Alessio. Leelnors outside the right foot, not such a good kick. But at the 4 was Davison, 2 players there, one De La Rue.
Evans.
Couldn't quite mark.
Oh!
He touched it. Serini says he does. The umpire says no, he didn't. All clear.
Not cruel, isn't it?
Chris Davison. Well,
A Shane Warne leg
Craig
break.
Davison, I should say.
That was. No, it was not Caulfield. Oh yes, it was a bit of a flat one, but I don't know whether I put the spin on it that often. But that was a remarkable spin. You'll see it here. Davison goes round the back of the pack. Evans is in pursuit, and if only he'd touched it. And he didn't. Look at that, and it comes back and through the goals.
Phil,
there, mate.
I'm shocked. You've been watching too much Atlanta cycling in the pursuit.
So that's probably about it, you'd suspect, from a Coburg point of view, and they've been very gallant. But it looks as if Springvale are off to the qualifying final, and their opponent next week would be Werribee.
Indeed. Port and Williamstown in the elimination. Big round of football down at Port Melbourne. Show your support for Victorian football.
Yes, there won't be much of that going on in the AFL in the first week of their finals, with the interstate clubs so dominant this year. So to get your footy fixed, the VFL might be the go in the next couple of weeks. Ingram on centre wing. Baker stays down. Napoli went hard at it, but got a crook bounce, and Little keeps it in pretty well. Did well there in a situation with the numbers against him. So Springvale, well, they really could have cruised to a pretty big victory midway through the third quarter when they led by 7 goals, but Coburg kicked 3 late in the third quarter and gave themselves a chance with an early one in this final quarter, but Springvale have steadied. And here's Leelnors on the end of a chain of hand passes, searches for Baldwin, but the kick wasn't good.
Now, they're good signs for Coburg, really, to take one of the reigning premier and a premiership possibility. The quality of Springvale out of the... Well, to take them to this sort of margin is a big effort. Some good young players there for Coburg. They'll even be better next year.
Dillon in front of Porter. Porter got that left foot over the left hand, I should say, over the top. De La Rue. Zeros, though, in possession. Switching play. Solomon got the body in front of Evans. And support from McLeod in time. They get out of trouble. To Zeros. Cleve should give it back to Zeros. Chose not to. Spears it low. And Little met it full on. Leelnors. Good one to John Carroll. Heading for goal. Over the head of the pack. Bouncing. And hitting the post.
Johnny Carroll. He's had quite a good game, hasn't he, Roscoe?
Yes, Paul Field, our stats man, has him 29 kicks, 11 hand passes.
That's a lot of possessions.
Not a bad afternoon's work.
You'd almost get it be in contention for the coffee forward with that.
He's across the line, surely, isn't he? 40 possessions.
Yeah, well, it's not over until that man, Ross Booth, says
Phil, Ken Ingram, 24 kicks, 15 hand passes.
Yes, he's had a big game.
Sentimental vote. Playing game number 150.
Might be a chance to get an umpire's vote out of the game.
Not good enough for the state team, though, Ken Ingram, Phil.
No, that's what some people suggested.
You don't think that, though, do you? You think he should have got...
What makes you think that? Did I say it along the way?
You've mentioned it a few times.
18 minutes in. Porter with Dillon. Tate couldn't gather. Aubrey had his hand pass smothered, so locked over on that half-forward line. Coburg defending.
You had to ground your club over in that part of the ground.
This is the Coburg contingent. They'll all be back at the ground tonight to enjoy a little night with Ken Ingram and Vin Taranto. Tell a few yarns about the 10 years. Ingram, of course, started at Coburg in about 86, I think. Vin Taranto the year before. against the Coburg crowd, and Springvale marching on to another grand final possibility.
Sereni leaping over the top. Evans is there, Porter there, tackled by Baldwin. Darren Stanley, well, at least it's not out of bounds. John Carroll in there, good. Little give to Benjamin. Put it very high. Clark running with a float, good effort.
That's been remarkable, you know. Alessio destroyed Caples early, but neither player has really had any influence in the second half on the game. I mean, I don't think Caples has done a thing, but nor has Alessio since half-time. I don't know what Paul's field stats show, but, gee, they'd be very low for the game. 13 and 7. I reckon Alessio must have had 10 in the first half.
Well, it's up in their territory now.
There's that man Caples.
And here they are. Well, Alessio went for a trot just prior to half-time, and he was involved in a very frenetic passage, and we saw him bent over going off the field. He looked very, very tired, and
spent the tickets.
Well, he might have spent up as much juice as he had in the tank. Lilnor's over the top, searching hand pass towards Yates, who did pretty well to get a touch on that, because if he fumbled, it would have gone to 3 Coburg opponents, and in the end it's been wrapped up in the middle.
Phil, the style of play, there's Jeff's coming off for the Scorpions, running the ball up, sort of bypass that position, half back, half forward, Caples, Alessio.
Yeah, it has. Well, today, Coburg's running game has, and they've tended to go over the top to where Dale was, and Dale hasn't really been on his game today.
Picked up by Weston in the midfield. Wobbles a kick, half volley to Solomon. In there is Yates, had a good day. So Solomon, plenty of time, slow, late, but finds a man in Baker inside 50. Now the pass, looking for Stanley, set him up. Sutherland was easily able to come over the top to spoil.
Adam Baker, an experienced player, just giving his man Stanley there not a hope in hell of taking that. It was never going to work. Floated high. Sutherland always going to punch it away.
Tate off for the Lions. Fitzpatrick back on. Bergman's been not in the player of his slot today either. Now he is.
A bit of a hollow feeling coming off at this stage of the game, in the final game of the year, when you're not competing in the finals, wouldn't it?
Yes. And we believe, don't we, that the big bloke up in Sydney's been pinched. Reported.
I believe so.
Something like it. Must stress that is very much unconfirmed. So
there was a little bloke out the back said that his mate down the road told him as they got into a go-kart.
That's right. You know, the bloke that... Oh, we won't...
Yeah, it goes on and on.
Yep. And
that's reliable.
Coburg back in towards the centre of the ground. Lilnor's up high. Ingram. Taranto. A couple of big names there. Napoli over the top to Stanley. Positive passage this for Coburg as Stanley blazes away the kick. Not a good one. Gee, he's done a terrific job too. Bergman, he's a smotherer. Robbie doesn't give you much. Now there's Brendan Griffiths to the right, Steve Salvador, both crossed to Coburg from Brunswick. They'll be lending one of their jumpers to a mate of mine who's going to a fancy dress party. Dale up high, thumps it down, Aubrey. And Aubrey. And it's through for a behind.
Just to remind you that people haven't forgotten about the great Brunswick Football Club, which disappeared around about the start of the 90s.
So I was thinking that coming to the ground today, that Fitzroy, it's obviously a pretty big day for their supporters tomorrow, the final game in Victoria and stuff, but football clubs disappearing's been no stranger to people in the VFL. They'll be very attuned to it, a lot of the people.
That's right.
John Carroll. O'Donnell back to John Carroll. Now he's kicked a half forward. Capsalis hasn't done a lot today.
Baldwin.
Beautiful pass though from Capsalis.
Yes, I could see this bloke Roscoe running into good form, and if they get to Optus Oval on that big day, the 22nd of September, it's a firm track. He's the sort of player who really do some damage, he and Evans.
9 marks, 2 goals, 1. Trying to make it 3. He's usually a pretty good kick.
So good, just a bit wide he's been, but I stress Evans and he are very dangerous. But if there are a weakness, and Brad Gotch I think would agree with this, Dillon not in the best of form, Roscoe. Smith not in good form. So when you look at their run into the finals, they're two positions that would worry me if I was the coach. And the others are not tall, so
yes.
That's where you've got a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, and that's why Clark's occasionally moved down forward. I think.
Yes, and that could get them into trouble against a good tight back line. You need a tall to put some pressure on, and neither of those talls is doing that at the moment.
So Coburg will be ruining this day in many respects. If they'd played like they had in the last 24 or so minutes, in the last 5 minutes of the third quarter for most of the day, with their handball in particular, they've suddenly found the target.
Also, their 8 losses in a row, Rob, I mean, a couple of those games were well and truly gettable. They went off the boil, lost their way, and then they discovered that they actually weren't a bad side. Bernie Dunn's had them, he's done a fair bit with them though. They've got 7 wins. They struggled, just a little bit disappointing, I suppose, that 8 losses in succession. A couple of injuries, Salvador and Aitken did hurt them.
I suspect it's going to be a bit tougher next year. I mean, North Ballarat, I think, will be,
they'll be good.
They'll be pretty good, and the 5 obviously are going to make the finals, and Sandringham won't be too happy with missing, so they'll do some work over the summer, so it'll be a pretty good comp next year.
My word, it will. The test is on, the metropolitan clubs, getting a finance stream, pressure on football clubs everywhere. Written a little article in the Sunday Age tomorrow about that question.
Okay, I'm glad I brought it up at the 25-minute mark of the final quarter, with the game well in hand, and Springvale about 5 goals in front here.
And just how good is this Springvale side? I like a lot about them. There's a lot about them that I like. Their backline's good. Backline's great. Got a terrific ruckman. It's just that forward setup could be a worry.
Baldwin, short distance kick. It's been over in this side of the ground for the last couple of minutes. Now Ingram says, well, we'll try and create something here. And he finds Solomon has had a pretty good final quarter, although he might agree with me because he was decked, and he's ended up with 21 possessions. That Cleve with no one to kick to, and ended up being an absolute shocker. Indecision does that. And John Carroll has just been outstanding with another possession. Possession number 44. That doesn't happen too often in a game of football. He's had about a sixth of their possessions. Footy teams normally get around 300, including hand passes and
more possessions than Reece Jones's tribunal appearances. Good to see him get off during the week too, wasn't it, Rob?
Well, you're a bit cynical about Plugger. Leal Norse.
He's been good Western too. He's played a very good game.
Been a good play. Yes, good to see Reece get off, and Frankston will be very pleased. Taranto gives it back. Oh, that's terrific passage. Weston in towards full forward. Dale on a lead.
As early, Chrissy Daly just let himself down with his kicking at goal. He's a confidence player. I know that sounds like a cliche, but there are some players, if they get off to a good start, they're unstoppable. And some players who don't work themselves into form if they don't start well.
40 out directly in front. Almost the mark, and Caples will be pretty happy to see that over the line.
That was Zeros too. He's been good. Played a very good game today, Grant Zeros, at both ends of the ground. Bernie Dunn thinking about the prospects for next year, what he could do with his side. No doubt.
Springvale have still got plenty to play for in 1996, that's for
all umpire and a good decision.
And Zeros wins himself a free kick. So Coburg's season drawing to a close here. Always a bit sad for the members of that team, but Springvale, as I mentioned, a lot to play for. Good kicks, a goal! Great kick there from Weston.
He's been a good player today, Rob. Weston played a tremendous runner through the midfield, and he's another player. When we look at the prospects for the side next year, he's one of the players I'd pin a lot of hopes on too. They're number 2, David Weston, recruited from Carlton. There's a lot to like about them. I mean, to take a side of Springvale's calibre down to 3 or 4, around the 4-goal mark at home, at their own ground. Springvale's side, it's about as good as they can pick. And Coburg's really a couple of players out, so very encouraging.
22 points the margin. Well, that was clever out of the centre. Davison offloads to Yates. Gee, a couple of the Springvale players are running into form. Important ones like Yates and Baldwin. Damien Carroll now on the left. What's he like? Short little kick towards. Well, not terrific mark by Serene. He's been pretty good. Gives it up though. Baldwin centres with the hand pass. Charging through was Weston, and the ball's gone over the line.
I think Sereni would have been saying, how do you like that, Peter Baldwin? And then he messed up at the finish, but he really went for it, didn't he?
You can be a little smart sometimes.
Yes, you can.
22 points for Springvale. Can they get another one just before the final siren? And Totoro didn't beat the boundary umpire there. So Springvale, mission accomplished for them today. They had to come out and win to ensure that they get into the qualifying final next week, and that's exactly what they've done against spirited opposition. And that's the end of a pretty entertaining game here at Springvale, with the Vales 15-15, 105, defeating Coburg 12-11, 83. And I think both sides can take a lot of positives, and Coburg have certainly made reasonable grounds this year under coach Bernie Dunn, and well, no doubt they're off to celebrate, as players and club officials do at the end of a season. They won't be celebrating a win today, but they've made ground, as I've mentioned, and Springvale, well, they've still got a heap to play for in 1996. There's the story of the day. Stan, the statistician, will love the symmetry of the first half, with 4-4 being kicked by Springvale in each of the first two quarters. They came out and kicked 5 in the third. That's when they won the game. And then they only kicked a couple in the final quarter. Coburg had a pretty dark patch for a long period of time. They only kicked 1 in the second quarter, and then it took them a while to kick their 4 goals. They got those late in the third term. And then they outscored Springvale in the final quarter, so they went down by 22 points.
Well, it started off at a rapid-fire pace, the game, and we thought we were in for a tremendous contest. The second quarter, it just got a bit clumsy. But Coburg, they fought it hard. Springvale, you see Evans, 3 goals, he's a key. Baldwin kicked 2, but that forward line I'd be a little worried about if I was Brad Gotch. For Coburg, Chrissy Dale, he's got to work on his game. He's got potential, but he's just not doing enough, getting himself in the right position. Napoli, he can be blistering. Zeros was great. Alessio, great first half right out of the game. And Weston with 1 goal, he was very, very good. A lot of good individual contests. And Ken Ingram, who's not mentioned there, 150th game, and would be happy with his own game, but not the result. And the Springvale Scorpions.
Well, that's a famous club footy song, isn't it? The Springvale one. Each club can sometimes adapt them to their own needs, and Springvale have obviously done that, and the boys are off to the finals next week, as is Ross Booth. And let's now cross down to Ross with the player of the match.
And unanimous in the box today for John Carroll, over 40 possessions. Well done, John. And firstly, the Vic Safe tagged from Acting Superintendent Gordon McLeod.
Congratulations, John, on a fine game. And as a result of Vic Safe and Victoria Police present you with this Huda. Congratulations.
Thanks, Gordon. Thanks, Gordon. John, Gordon's from Frankston, but we're held against him. Yeah, it's okay. And Stan Petty of Coffee Ford.
Congratulations, John.
Thanks, Stan. Yeah.
You're taking it from Adrian this week.
All right. Thanks very much. Yeah.
On behalf of Coffee Ford, keys at Coffee Ford Laser.
Thanks, Stan.
Thanks, Dan. Well done, John. Well, terrific. Paul Field had you something, I think, about 45 possessions, and I just checked with the club about 40, so fantastic effort.
Oh, yeah, it was good today. You know, probably moving into the centre in the second half, so gave me a bit more room to run around the ground, and yeah, it was a good win.
Yeah, very well done. Look, we'll just have a brief one of you. We talked to you last week, and we just want to catch a word with Ken Ingram and Bernie Dunn. So congratulations.
Just thank Vic Safe and Coffee Ford. So it's good. Yep.
Yeah, good luck in the finals.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, John. Here's Bear here. Got me. Well done. Congratulations on 150th, and you still, I think, 40 possessions.
Oh, well, yeah.
You weren't counting, of course.
It wasn't opposite Johnny, but he had a lot of touches and he deserved the man of the match. So hopefully they can go on. I think it'll be Frankston Springvale Grand Final, which would be a great day.
You think so? Yeah.
Yeah. Frankston's the best side we've played, and Springvale probably, as good as them.
150 games, a great achievement.
Yeah, it's a good achievement. Hopefully we can just go on from here. As you know, the Beards played 200 and there's only Dave Starbuck, so another 2.5 years, a couple of pre-seasons, so just see how we go, Ross.
Yeah, terrific. Okay, thanks, Ben. Well done. And a quick word with Bernie Dunn. Bernie, we don't usually talk about losing case, but...
well, that's the way it goes sometimes, yeah. Look, reasonable effort today. I think they're going to be a force in the finals, and look, in the middle part of the game, it looked like it could have gotten away from us, so I was pretty pleased in the finish that we were able to keep with them.
Okay, who do you fancy in the finals?
Look, I think Frankston are going to be very hard to beat, but I think Werribee because of their evenness, could upset them.
Okay,
Yeah.
Bernard done.
All right.
Well done.
Good on
Thanks
you,
very
Ross.
much.
Thanks for that.
Ross Booth there, and well, Bernie pretty philosophical about the whole thing, Phil, isn't he? But you know, he can be reasonably happy with what Coburg's done over the year. I think in hindsight.
Yeah, without doubt. There's no doubt that when you lose 8 straight, you're going to be concerned. You'd look back and think, well, how many of those were gettable? And only a couple of games there, and you're really a Finals 5 contender. They were good today at times. They look all right. I'm just talking about them, but. It's very encouraging, I think, for Bernie Dunn for next year. There's a lot to work with, a lot of young players. At the top end, some of those players are getting close to the expiry date. But Springvale, you know, Ken Ingram says they're the side, they and Frankston. Werribee have got to be in there as well. Out of 3, I don't know about Williamstown. I just don't know. I don't know about Port, so I can't say until I see them again. But I reckon we're in for a great final series. I really do think. I think last year we were a bit flat. We thought it was too easy for Springvale. But this time I think we're going to see a really good series. I think uncertainty right till the final day.
Well, let's talk about that as we go through the highlights here of the final quarter with Coburg coming back at Springvale, and this was a great passage of play with Napoli really taking them on here. Gets the shepherd from Toronto, did he? Well, he didn't need it in the end, and then on one step, bang, and he's kicked a goal from near 50. Great effort.
Rob, you showed me the stats and commented on the handballs, and Paul had passed them on to us. And it was so true. The two contrasting sides, really, not totally contrasting, in that Coburg actually out-handballed Springvale, which is a very, very rare event. What Coburg did was tried a lot of set plays. In fact, with Ingram, they were moving from the back line, waiting to get the opportunity to set the run up, which was very intelligent play. The execution was at times a problem, but as for Springvale, you know, there's no doubting their class, and they just kept sticking. They just kept running. Didn't make the mistakes. But this is what I'm talking about.
Well, look at this. 7 hand passes before Baker kicks it.
And it ends up here with the big bloke who gives it over, and we get a goal. I think it goes to Chrissy Dale. Yes, it does. Bang on the left foot. And amazing that was over the umpire's head.
Well, how good Springvale. I mean, they've just timed their run well enough to get into the top 3, which is so important. It's so tough to do from the elimination final, as we all know.
I think it's very simple, Rob. I think their forward line is the problem. They're too key forward. They're too talls and not playing well, and that could be a problem. They might come good, but they're too talls. Dillon and Smith are a little bit of a problem. Puts a lot of emphasis on Evans and Baldwin, who are not talls. And that's where I think the jigsaw puzzle lies.
Well, there are statistics quickly. A heap more kicks for Springvale, marks reasonably even, and handballs. Coburg 154 handballs, and they won the ruck, which is surprising. Clark spent a bit of time off the ground. Well, what a few weeks we've got coming up for you. It's a pretty even final side this year. Port will finish 5th, and they could do anything, couldn't they? And Williamstown are a pretty fair side.
Yes, and we're off. That's right. We're off to Port Melbourne. Willie and Port in the elimination, and then Werribee, Springvale in that qualifier. Going to be great footy. Tomorrow's games, I think we're going to see.
Yep, let's have a look. And then largely academic. Box Hill and Port Melbourne, Sandy and Frankston, Werribee and North Ballarat, Traralgon and Preston, and Williamstown, of course, have the bye. And next week, the first finals clap, which will involve the qualifying and the elimination. Good afternoon.